Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 343 in my countdown to retirement. So today was a continuation from yesterday, where I worked to try and put together a bucket list trip for my wife's milestone birthday that's coming up in August. But before that, my son and daughter-in-law landed after an 18 and a half hour flight from California to Auckland, New Zealand. They landed and were dead tired and said they'll never again do a flight that long. So wasn't very enjoyable to them. But that being said, I contacted Norwegian Cruise Lines earlier today to get more details on their 2-for-1 flight offer, and I ended up talking with Sheila, one of their representatives, and what I found out is they work with American, Delta, and United. You as the traveler do not get to pick the airline, the seats, the type of airplane, the times, the number of stops. Basically, they guarantee you a spot in economy that will get you to and from your destination on time. If you're traveling together with your spouse or significant other, they don't even guarantee that you can sit together. So I was like, well, that's not very appealing to me. So I went out and looked at, using Google Flights, what flights could I get that would, basically fly me over to London Heathrow and then bringing back from Reykjavik to Atlanta. And for between $300 and $500 more, I could pick the airline, pick the seats, pick the time, pretty much anything I wanted. It wasn't refundable, but it was changeable and whatever. And for a $350 to $500 variance over the price of what I'm going to be spending on this trip, to be able to provide the level of comfort we want, to pick the seats we want, the time we want to leave, and all that stuff, well worth it in my mind. So then, I still need to research, travel insurance options, because the options that are available through the cruise line are very expensive, like it's more than $1,000, and two, just for that one trip, and it doesn't give me all the protection that I care about. So I'm going to look into what options are available to me. I did put a 75-hour hold on a reservation for the cruise, which would take me to Iceland, Norway, and Belgium on the Norwegian Prima in the month of August. I picked the specific room I wanted, which was on deck 13. It's on the starboard side of the ship. It's just a few decks below the bridge, which is where I prefer to be. There's nothing that should be noisy around the room, so that, one of the reviews I was reading for that particular ship was you have to really be careful about what's above you, below you, and adjacent, because the ship layout is such that it can be really noisy depending on where you are, and that I didn't want. The other thing that I thought was interesting is the embarkation is at 5 p.m. on a Sunday, which, okay, usually you get on a ship earlier than that, like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But the thing I thought was really interesting was the debarkation from Reykjavik is at 4 a.m. on the Thursday that you get off the ship. I have never been asked to get off of a ship at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's kind of crazy to me. I mean, usually it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30 maybe. Like, it's not 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's really surprising. Anyway, if I move forward and lock it in, the cruise deposit is going to be $250. I would, basically have until the 91st day before the cruise to cancel without penalties. And then once I get to the 91st day, it's like a 25% penalty. The final payment, well, the deposit's due by, my initial deposit's due by January 26th. at midnight. The final payment is due on April 5th, also at midnight. And the total cost of the cruise, excluding insurance, excluding gratuities, and excluding airfare, would be $9,051.72. So, you know, not an insignificant amount of money, but to be able to hit all the countries that we're looking at and check off 2 items on a bucket list, plus make it a special birthday for my wife, I thought that would be, um, something that would be definitely doable. And I'm expecting the airline fees to come in somewhere between 1750 and 2250 for the two of us on the flights. Um, and that more than likely I will end up flying British Airways from Atlanta over to um, London, and then the way that they do the trip from Reykjavik to get back to Atlanta is, even though you're in Iceland, you got to fly back 3 hours to Heathrow, then you change planes, and then you fly uh, from Heathrow back to Atlanta. So I end up going, through Heathrow either way, and all of the other flights take me to, kind of, I either have really long layovers, like 5 hour layover in Boston, or a 8 hour layover in like Minneapolis or something. I don't want layovers that are more than like 2 hours. So if I can't get a direct flight, and the flight from Atlanta to Heathrow is direct, but the Reykjavik one, you have the one stopover, which a 2 hour layover is not bad. So I'm good with that. Um, and then, like I said, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the insurance. I decided I'm not going to prepay the gratuities. They want you to pay $20 per person per day, which works out to be $440 in gratuities for two people over the length of the cruise. Um, so kind of that's where I am. Hopefully, I can get some input from you guys as to whether or not, because again, I've cruised on Princess, I've cruised on Carnival. That was like the worst cruise ever. Uh, I've cruised a lot on Royal Caribbean. I've cruised on Princess, um, and some other lines that don't exist anymore. But, my wife and I have cruised at least a dozen times over our lifetime, but never on Norwegian. So I'd be definitely interested to hear if anyone has any specific feedback that's relevant and current on Norwegian since, post pandemic. I'd love to know what happens. I mean, I've read tons of reviews on the ship um, that seem really positive, other than the fact that the layout of the ship itself is disjointed. But, the food's good, the itinerary is great, the people are fantastic that take care of you on the ship. So, all of the things that are meaningful to me seem to be good. But definitely would love to hear your feedback. So if you would, please drop something in the comment section or send me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, I look forward to talking with you tomorrow, and take care and have a great evening.